Scuderia Ferrari left Zandvoort with a more positive performance than expected, although the gap from Lando Norris's McLaren MCL38 at the end of the Dutch Grand Prix was still significant, around 25 seconds, roughly the same as the SF-24 had at the beginning of the 2024 Formula One Championship compared to the Red Bull RB20, which at that moment was the fastest car on the grid. The Woking car crushed the competition, but the Zandvoort glass can be considered half full for the Maranello team. Now Ferrari is preparing for the always eagerly awaited Italian Grand Prix at the Monza circuit in front of the Tifosi, a track where the SF-24 aims to be closer to the top. If Zandvoort was one of the worst circuits in terms of layout and track characteristics, Monza on paper can be considered more suited to the car designed by the now former technical director and Italian aerodynamicist Enrico Cardile. On the Italian track, the aerodynamic package will arrive, already announced in our preview of the Italian Grand Prix, and now confirmed by Frédéric Vasseur himself at the presentation of the event, with the clear goal of aiming to get the car back on the right development track after the problematic update introduced at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. The period of negative downturn in performance that the SF-24 experienced, becoming on average the fourth force ahead of the summer break, is essentially due to the limitations that the update to the floor in Barcelona brought. It is undeniable that the Ferrari technicians had to deal with the unforeseen technical issues on a car that, until that moment, had overall performed well. The floor evolution at the beginning of summer was supposed to mitigate the weaknesses with which the SF-24 was designed, especially in terms of lap performance and load in medium and high-speed corners. Trying to give more downforce to improve in the corners essentially put the mechanics, heavily criticized for being too traditional for these Venturi effect cars, into crisis, unable to handle the extra load. At the Monza circuit, the SF-24 will also have a good part of the updates that were planned for the upcoming Asian races, in a race against time that has yielded positive results. The most important novelty this weekend for the Italian Grand Prix is the first true evolved floor after the Spanish version. The update that was approved for the Hungaroring round in Hungary was nothing more than a quick and more makeshift fix to the problems, with a floor modeled exclusively through a virtual model in Computational Fluid Dynamics, based on the specification introduced even earlier at Imola. The Italian track, despite being a fairly specific track, will be an important testing ground to see if the simulations match what we will see on the track. In short, it will be necessary to assess whether Maranello has done its homework well, considering all the current mechanical platform's limitations, which is close to a more radical change in view of the 2025 Formula One Championship, which we had already talked about. It is therefore worth pointing out a change of course. Ferrari does not want to repeat the mistake made with Enrico Cardile of introducing large packages too close together. The aerodynamic package with which the SF-24 presents itself at the home Grand Prix is, in fact, an attempt to group together in a single package all the main updates that were planned for the second part of the year, although other elements of lesser overall importance should still arrive until the Mexican Grand Prix. Ferrari's technical direction, a role still occupied by Frédéric Vasseur for a little while longer, wanted to change the approach somewhat compared to the first part of the 2024 Formula One season. With Enrico Cardile in command, the decision to introduce two significant aerodynamic packages in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix and in the Spanish Grand Prix within a month then created difficulties for the Maranello technicians in fully understanding the SF-24 single-seater. Ferrari has therefore decided to adopt a more McLaren-like approach, preferring to concentrate all the updates in a single macro update, which will be the last of such great importance for the season. The results that the Maranello team expects from the new Monza package are to put the SF-24 back in a window capable of having stable downforce at medium and high speeds, an aspect in which the SF-24 is particularly lacking compared to McLaren and Red Bull. The problem over the last month and a half has not been so much finding extra downforce, but obtaining it in such a way that it does not make the platform too sensitive to triggering bouncing. The aerodynamic update that the wind tunnel is undergoing also stems from the need to have tools that can refine the study of the vehicle's aerodynamic behavior. The Monza package does not only include the floor, the new low-drag rear wing is also new. The floor will be the main component that will be declared upon arrival at Monza and will guarantee most of the additional performance. In what we could almost define as an all-in from Ferrari in terms of updates, there will be a multi-updated SF-24. There will be some aerodynamic innovations in addition to the new floor, although considered of lesser importance in terms of performance. The shopping list that Ferrari presents for the Italian Grand Prix will also include a new low-drag rear wing, which will be declared and paired with a single-profile beam wing. In last year's Italian GP, the Maranello team had recycled the previous year's wing, mounting the same specifications seen in 2022 on the F-175 directly onto the following year's SF-23, a reuse that will not happen this year. The new low-drag wing, equipped with greater efficiency, will maintain the now classic pointed ears in the connection between the end plate and wing profiles and will most likely also be used in Las Vegas. The week of the Italian Grand Prix is the most chaotic, demanding, and emotional of the entire year for Ferrari. The media events and the expectations of thousands of fans add extra weight to the shoulders of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, who are already dealing with the challenges of their cars. At the same time, however, it's the warmth and passion shown by the fans that drive them to give their all, as well as to stop every time for a photo or an autograph. This weekend also brings back special memories for the Monegasque driver, who won his second career race here, making him almost a deity in the eyes of the Tifosi. It will be difficult to replicate that success in 2024, but the driver certainly isn't backing down. The team arriving as the favorite is McLaren, which has already done very well in recent years. With the latest updates, it has become the car to beat. McLaren's improved car has every chance at Monza too, where Max Verstappen has bullied the opposition, and in particular home team Ferrari, the past 2 years. However, Verstappen still has a 70-point lead in the Drivers' Championship, and his closest challenger Norris called the idea of pipping him to the world title stupid, as the reigning champion has finished on the podium in 10 of this season's 15 races, winning 7. McLaren are just 30 points behind Red Bull, while Ferrari, 64 points back in third, will be hoping to put recent Monza disappointments behind them, as the Scuderia have an outside chance of their first constructors' title since 2008. Ferrari have had a driver on pole position at each of the last 2 Monza GPs, only to lose out both times to Verstappen on home soil. Charles Leclerc, whose second place behind Verstappen 2 years ago, was particularly bitter, as the Dutchman started the race 7th on the grid. Ferrari is also focusing everything on the Monza track, where it will debut several new features. In the simulator, they are promising, but it's well known that reality is another story. The most anticipated weekend for all Ferrari fans is about to begin. With the usual Thursday media day, the curtain will officially rise on the Monza weekend. However, the atmosphere is already heating up, as demonstrated by the hundreds of fans who have gathered in front of the Ray-Ban store in Milan's Piazza San Babila yesterday, waiting for Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz.